Munster start and end with an error. My name's Mark. Let's talk rugby. A Munster error right at the start allows Castres to just run the ball, truck it up right up the middle of them, making great ground. And yeah, lots of handling errors, from Munster early on for most of the first half and even into the second half as well. And, very slow to the ruck too. And it's just, making it life so much easier for Castres, who, for their part, very aggressive in defence, very physical in the ball carrying as well. And, making good yards when they do carry the ball. Munster, their errors continue, kicking the ball out in the full. And, not the only time they did it in the game. Castres applying lots of pressure, forcing penalties. Munster holding them out, but not really offering much in the early minutes because they can't get that continuity in their play to be able to hang on to the ball long enough to really, produce something. Then Castres attack off a line out. Papali'i, he goes down the blind side, forces his way over. Abrahams, in fairness to him, tried to get under him and hold him up, but the referee was happy that Papali'i got the ball down to score. Conversion is missed, 5-0. Castres very poor actually from the tee in this game. Abrahams, as I said, decent effort from him to try and hold it up. He's one of a number of Munster players who didn't see out the game because they had to go off injured. Papali'i though, I thought he was good for Castres in his carrying, making good ground, involved in both tries as well. Castres then they continue to make good ground with big ball carriers. Munster still passive in defence. Castres, I think Peter Manny gave away the penalty, and then Castres go quickly with a tap penalty. Catch Munster a few of them, the back turn, not really ready. And Papali'i goes close before recycled, and then Walker forces his way over to score. Conversion attempt is poor, and we're at 10-0. Munster then they lose Craig Casey to injury at that point as well. You could see him actually as Papali'i was charging towards the line. You could see him. He was a few out close, kind of close to the camera. And something went, whether it was a muscle or his knee or something, certainly wasn't right. And then he had to be carried off the field. He's replaced by Patterson. We then have shortly after that, TMO check for a high hit from the try scorer Walker actually on Gleeson. There's a sudden drop in height from Gleeson just before the tackle. It is shoulder to head, but referee, says that there's mitigation there to bring it down from a red to a yellow. Personally, I thought that the mitigation would have actually taken from a yellow down to a penalty because, Walker was pretty passive in the tackle, and we've seen referees talking about that before, that, he's receiving the player rather than, putting it in the tackle. And then the drop in height as well, not much force in it. I thought it probably would have been, a penalty. Given, it's not an opinion in terms of, what I think it should be, because I still think, the way it was like a year and a half ago, where they were very tough on this stuff, and it would have been a yellow then. I think, protection of the players, I think, is paramount. But in terms of just looking at the overall context of how referees have been refereeing these kind of incidents over the last kind of year or so, I would have thought that probably would have been a yellow down to a penalty. Munster then they go up the line from that penalty, and then they win a scrum, get a penalty from the scrum. One of the few scrum penalties Munster actually got tonight, and they make their way into the Castres 22. Wycherley then claims the line out. They set up the maul, and then Hodnett does really well to break off and over to score. Crowley converts and it's 10 points to 7. And Munster, who just not been in the game at all, suddenly 3 points back. They then kick the restart out on the full. Castres have a line out in the Munster 22. Kick from the restart. So basically they claim the restart and pass it back into their own 22 and then kick it out on the full. So Castres then have a line out in the Munster 22. They win a penalty, kick that to the corner. Feels like, a crucial moment just before the break. Castres overthrow the line out and then they concede a penalty. And then Munster get off the field. Halftime, 10 points to 7. Munster within, touch, despite really being second best for much of that first half. Second half then, we have a Castres mistake, not retreating, a box kick that allows Munster to go up the line into or around about the 22, I think, in the second half. And they move it and they do break into the 22. Some decent carries from Hodnett and Peter O'Mahony there. Police then goes to the bin for a deliberate knock-on. Timo Czech says, it definitely wasn't a penalty try. I agree with that. There was kind of cover that could come over across. Munster then make an absolute mess of the line out, knock the ball on. Castres then win a penalty at the scrum. Danger is cleared. And, that was Munster for much of the game. And honestly, Munster for much of the season as well. The accuracy, that was there for, like 2 seasons ago, that run to the URC Championship. And then even last year, it was coming back a little bit. Just doesn't seem to be there consistency at all this year. Castres then, they go up the other end, they win a penalty, and Fernandez lands it for 13 points to 7. Then Papali'i with a good carry, but he gets isolated. Nankerville gets over the ball, wins a penalty. Crowley kicks that to the corner. Munster go to the maul. It's going forward, but they're not really in control of the ball. Castres, they have players who've worked their way up the side legally, and then they make it unplayable, turn the ball over, and then inevitably win a penalty at the scrum, and they're able to clear. Byrne then, off a sweet of the breakdown, penalty to Castres, and there was a period of advantage that ended up in a mark for Munster, so back for the penalty. But I think it was Baget, which is a lovely kind of one-hand pass behind the back in the move when they were playing advantage, like just real skill there, and there wasn't that much quality in this game, so that was nice to see. Pretty straight kick, it is a bit out, but like it's not miles away or anything. But Dumorat just way off target with the kick, didn't seem to catch the ball right at all, and again they're struggling from the tee. Castres then offside. Munster go up the line into 22. From the maul, then they win a penalty, go to the corner, then set up the maul from the line out. It's surging towards the line before it goes down, but it's down illegally. And who was it? Just trying to think. Can't remember who it was, but one of the Castres players ends up in the bin for that one. And Munster again playing against 14. They go to the corner again. It's a poor line out, but Byrne kind of comes towards the tail and he claims it and kind of saves them there. And they're right up at the line. He brings it very close to the line. Then eventually Hodnett gets over to ground. We have a Timo check for a possible knock on. They decide it was actually knocked backward by a Castres player. I think one of the Castres players basically dove over the ruck to knock the ball out of Patterson's hands, but he actually knocked it backwards, so the try is good. Crowley then strokes over the conversion, 14-13, Munster in the lead. Munster then knock on at the restart. Castres win a penalty at the resulting scrum. They point to the post, and LeBrun steps up, lands the kick, 16-14, Castres back in front. And, that's Munster all over, really. They get themselves a chance. They're in the lead. Immediately, they make a mistake. Munster then, they're making better ground now, like beginning to kind of feel their way into it. Looking much better on the carry, trying to exploit space. But just as it's looking like they're going to be dangerous, that they're getting into decent position. Haley with a forward pass, and there was a few forward passes, from Munster where there wasn't that much pressure on the pass, and it really shouldn't have gone forward. And again, it's something that they've suffered from a lot this season. Castres then win a penalty at that scrum, and Munster just having a terrible time in the scrum there. They did, have, who was it? Trying to remember who it was. One of them had to play on the wrong side of the scrum. Give me a sec now. I'm gonna pull up now. Who was it? Let's see. It was Archer, right? Archer had to go from tie head to loose head, I think, because they had like a couple of injuries. As I said, a lot of injuries. Peter Manny was off injured as well. And yet Archer, I think, had to come back on after he went off because who was the replacement loose head who come on? It was Bluer, I think, had to go off. So yeah, he had to be on there, but still, Munster not really good in the scrum, even before the injuries set in. From here, then, Castres kick it well up the line to the edge of the 22. Barron gets pinged at the line out. Castres, they've got a chance to seal it. Just kick to the post. They decide to go to the corner instead. The line out then misfires. It's one of these ones where they claim the line out, but they may as well not have because the ball just goes loose. And Ahern manages to turn the ball over for Munster. Munster then hang on to it for a couple of minutes. They work their way from the 22 just over halfway, win a penalty. Bit of a debate about what to do, whether they should kick to the post or to the corner. Crowley had a missed effort from a penalty that dropped just short. That was shorter than this in the first half as well. So they decided they're going to go to the corner. Crowley, though, kicks it dead. And that's the game. Full time, 16 points to 14. Munster could have won it, but Castres deserved the win. Right, so let's have a look at some of the stats before we have a quick chat then about each of the teams. So, first up, tries, 2 tries each. Munster getting their 2 conversions as well. As Castres, missed theirs. As I said, very poor from the tee from them. 40% kicking success isn't, brilliant, but still to come out to win. Meters made then 279 for Castres, 305 for Munster. But look at the number of carries, 93 from Castres, 147 for Munster. So Castres, averaging 3 meters per carry. Munster just over 2 meters per carry. So you can see that, Castres certainly more effective when they were going into contact. Clean breaks then, just 1 for Castres, 2 for Munster. Defenders beaten 14-13. And then the offloads, 14 for Castres, 5 for Munster. There weren't that many offloads, though, that were, sending players through gaps or anything like that. Passes then, just 90 for Castres, 205 for Munster. And Munster, dominating possession, 41% for Castres, 59 for Munster. And territory, a little bit closer, but still Munster have the edge, 46% for Castres, 54 for Munster. On to defence then, tackles made, 125 for Castres, 87 for Munster. 84% tackle success for Castres, which is, pretty okay. It's not amazing, but, it's not terrible either. Munster then is 72%. And, as talked about, especially in that first half, giving up a lot of easy meters due to, the way they're defending. Like they were leaving gaps, they were passive in the tackle, etc. Turnovers 1 then, 6 for Castres, 4 for Munster. Then if we look at the set piece lineouts, 18-12 in favour of Castres. Castres 90%, Munster 92%. So at least the lineout went okay for Munster. Scrums then, looking at the stats doesn't really tell the story here. Because 8 scrums won from Castres, 3 from Munster, both 100% on their own ball. But Castres, won penalties at a lot of their own scrums. Munster only won 1 penalty at the scrum. Kicks from hand then, 35-26 in favour of Castres, and making more meters there as well. 966-739. I think they definitely kicked smarter than Munster, and as I said, Munster had more than a few kicks that went out on the full, and at crucial times as well. Retained kicks then 4-3, and then onto the breakdown. Rucks won 47 for Castres, 97 for Munster. Just 1 ruck lost each. 91% for Castres, 97 for Munster. Pretty good, but still, I felt Castres put a lot of pressure on that ruck, and even if they weren't winning the ball, they were making a kind of scrappy ball for Munster, especially again in the first half. Turnovers 1 in rucks or mauls, 6-4. Castres actually doing well to turn over a couple of Munster mauls, so it wasn't just ruck stuff. Mauls total then 6-5, and 83% to Castres, 80% for Munster. Maul meters made 5-4 in favour of Castres. Then discipline, both teams conceding 17 penalties. Neither will be happy with that. And Castres with those 3 yellow cards as well. Munster basically 30 minutes against 14 players. And didn't really do all that well. It's the same again against Stade Francais last week, where when they were playing against fewer players, they actually didn't look as good as when it's 15 each. So there's obviously something there that they're not doing right, or something that the other team, the opposition, are doing right to manage those yellow card periods. So let's talk about the team. So Castres, like night and day from last week, hugely improved performance, and obviously, very different team as well. They sent a very weakened team last week on the road. So, very aggressive, tough carries from them, dominant in the scrum, showed more composure than their opponents at key moments as well. Managed the 3 yellow card periods well. And now you wonder, they've got to win. Will they send another weakened side on the road in January, or are they going to look to ensure that they do qualify for the knockout stages? Munster weren't in it in that first half, but were just 3 points behind at the break still. They were improved definitely in the second half, got themselves in front, but mistake at the restart led to the winning score. Too many mistakes overall, injuries to some key players, a lack of composure. Had that chance to nick it at the end, but absolutely blew it. Still, you have to say, looking at their performance, a losing bonus point isn't the end of the world for them. And you feel like if they win at home, in January, they will qualify from this pool, but then they'll need to be much better, when it comes to the knockout stages. Okay, so that's the end of that one. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments.